Hey everyone, and welcome to the Drunken Zombies Podcast.
Yeah.
Where we're serving up, daily doses of the undead.
That's right. We're talking all things zombies.
Yeah.
From brain-chomping action to stories that'll leave you sleeping with the lights on.
Exactly. And today we are sinking our teeth into Blood Diamond, the Outbreak. This one, you sent this one in.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a wild ride. We're talking war-torn Africa, a desperate search for a legendary diamond, and oh yeah, a full-blown zombie apocalypse.
That's intense.
It does.
Yeah.
So we got your research notes here, a couple of reviews, and even that interview you do with the author.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready to unpack all this?
Born ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the scene.
Okay.
The story throws us right into the heart of war-torn Africa, and I was really struck by the descriptions in the book. It's not just about the violence.
Yeah.
It's about the feeling of a place on the edge where the land itself feels scarred and dangerous.
It definitely creates this intense atmosphere right from the start. And then we meet Jack Conrad,
Yeah.
our main guy.
Our mercenary.
He's a mercenary, seen it all, done it all, and he's pretty much given up on hope.
Yeah, he's not your typical hero.
Yeah.
He's got this rough exterior, kind of world-weary, cynical. But I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of just wanting to get away from it all.
Absolutely.
Especially when the world feels like it's falling apart.
Exactly, and that's what makes him such an interesting character. You're not sure if you should root for him or not.
Right.
He's doing things for his own survival, but there's also the sense that he's lost something along the way, maybe his own humanity.
Yeah, and then you've got Theo, who's almost the complete opposite of Jack.
Yes.
He's this young miner,
Yeah.
kind of naive,
Mm-hmm.
still holding on to hope.
Yeah.
The outbreak catches him off guard,
Yeah.
and he's desperate to find the diamond because he believes it can save his family and his village.
He represents that innocent perspective, that belief in something better, even in the face of horror. It makes you wonder, what would you cling to if your world was suddenly turned upside down?
It's a good question. And I think everybody listening has probably thought about what they would do in a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, for sure.
And that's part of the appeal of these stories, right? It's
Yeah.
a way to explore those what-if scenarios.
Totally. And in Blood Diamond, that exploration gets even more complex because we have these two characters, Jack and Theo, who were forced to work together.
Right.
They're from different worlds with different motivations, but their survival depends on each other.
Yeah, it's an unlikely partnership, but the story really makes it work.
He does.
The author does a great job of showing how their different skills and perspectives complement each other.
Yeah.
Jack brings the combat experience, the tactical thinking.
Yes.
And Theo has this local knowledge, this understanding of the land and the people.
And as they journey deeper into this infected landscape, we start to see how their dynamic evolves. At first, it's just about necessity, a matter of survival. But as they face danger together, as they witness the horrors of the outbreak firsthand, there's a shift.
Yeah, it's like they start to see each other as human beings.
Yes.
Not just pawns in this chaotic game.
Exactly.
And there's a scene where they find a village that's been completely overrun by the undead.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's described in really vivid detail, almost like you're there with them smelling the decay, hearing the moans of the zombies.
It's intense.
It's scary stuff.
And in that moment, they have to fight back to back. There's no time for suspicion or distrust. They have to rely on each other completely or they'll both die.
Right, and the author said in the interview that he wanted to show how shared trauma can sometimes bring people together in unexpected ways.
Uh-huh.
And I think that comes across really well in that scene. They go through something horrifying, but they come out of it with a stronger bond.
And that bond is going to be crucial because, as we learned from your research, the diamond they're looking for
Right?
is deep inside a mine controlled by rebels.
Yeah, talk about adding fuel to the fire. Not only are they dealing with zombies, now they have to face heavily armed humans who aren't afraid to kill.
Right. The author definitely doesn't pull any punches when it comes to the violence in this world.
No, he doesn't.
But he also manages to weave in those moments of human connection, those glimmers of hope that make you keep reading even when things get really dark.
Yeah, that's the hallmark of a great storyteller, isn't it?
It is.
Finding that balance between the darkness and the light. So we've got our heroes, an impossible quest and danger lurking around every corner. What happens next? You'll have to wait for part 2 to find out.
Don't forget to rate and follow the Drunken Zombies podcast for more tales of brains and mayhem. We'll be right back with part 2 of our exploration of Blood Diamond, the Outbreak.
Right back after this. Welcome back to the Drunken Zombies Podcast. Last time we left Jack and Theo facing a whole new level of danger, the rebels who controlled the diamond mine.
And this is where the story takes a turn that I definitely did not see coming. It highlights how unpredictable this world is, how even the best laid plans can go sideways in an instant.
You're talking about the zombie horde breaching the rebel camp.
Right.
I mean, talk about a chaotic opportunity just when it seems like Jack and Theo were trapped. Do undead show up and turn everything upside down?
It's almost ironic. The very thing they've been trying to avoid becomes their ticket to freedom. The story uses this event to really emphasize the theme of survival, of how sometimes you have to embrace the chaos to make it out alive.
And in the notes you sent, you highlighted how this scene also plays with our expectations.
Yeah.
We're so used to seeing humans as the biggest threat in zombie stories.
Yeah.
But here, the undead actually become a catalyst for change, for breaking down the existing power structures.
Exactly. It makes you question who the real monsters are in this story. Is it the mindless zombies driven by instinct, or is it the humans who are willing to exploit and kill each other for profit?
That's a question that runs throughout the entire story. The author isn't afraid to show us the dark side of human nature, even in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. But he also reminds us that there's still good in the world, even if it's sometimes hard to find.
And that brings us to Jack and Theo's escape. It's a thrilling sequence full of tension and close calls. They're running through these claustrophobic mine tunnels, pursued by both the rebels and the undead, and you're just waiting for something to go wrong.
Yeah, the author does a great job of using sensory details to draw you into the action. You can feel the dust choking their lungs, hear the moans of the zombies echoing through the darkness, and smell the gunpowder from the rebels' guns.
It's a visceral experience. You're right there with them, feeling their fear, their adrenaline, their desperation, and in the midst of all this chaos, they somehow manage to find the diamond.
I have to admit, I was surprised they actually found it. I thought for sure the author was going to pull a fast one on us and have the diamond be a myth or something.
Right? It's like a glimmer of hope, right? They've gone through so much, faced so many dangers, and now they have this tangible reward for their efforts, but as we know, things are never that simple in a zombie story.
Right, because finding the diamond is only half the battle. They still have to get out of the mine alive, and with both the rebels and the undead on their trail, the odds aren't exactly in their favor.
And this is where this story really ramps up the tension.
Yeah.
They're trapped in a labyrinth surrounded by enemies, and time is running out. They need a plan, and they need it fast.
And what do they come up with blowing up the entire mine? Talk about a desperate gambit. I mean, it's brilliant in a way, but also incredibly risky.
It's a classic go big or go home moment, and it highlights the fact that Jack and Theo are willing to do whatever it takes to survive. They've come too far to give up now, even if it means risking their own lives.
So they set the charges, trigger the explosion, and everything goes boom. I can only imagine what that must have been like. The sound, the tremors, the dust and debris filling the air.
The author describes it as a cataclysmic event, a scene of utter destruction, and yet, amidst the chaos, Jack and Theo emerge from the rubble battered but alive. It's a moment of triumph, of defiance against all odds,
But as we learn in a truly heartbreaking twist, their victory is short-lived. Theo's been bitten and infected, and now instead of celebrating their escape, they're facing a whole new kind of horror.
It's a devastating blow both for Theo and for Jack, and it raises a whole new set of questions. What happens now? Do they try to find a cure? Do they accept Theo's fate? And how does this impact their relationship, which has already been through so much?
We'll have to wait for the final part of our Drunken Zombies podcast to find out. Stay tuned, because things are about to get really intense. Welcome back to the Drunken Zombies Podcast. We left off with Jack and Theo escaping the mine diamond in hand, but facing a new nightmare, Theo's infection.
Yeah, and this is where the story shifts gears again. It's not just about physical survival anymore. It's about facing a moral dilemma, an impossible choice that really makes you think.
Right. And in our notes, you mentioned how the arrival of the rescue helicopters adds another layer to this. On one hand, it's salvation, a way out of this hellscape. But for Theo, it's a bitter reminder of what he's losing.
It's almost cruel, the timing of it all. They fight tooth and nail to escape, achieve what seemed impossible, and then this, it forces the question, what does hope even mean in a world like this?
And what does it say about Jack? I mean, we know he's not a saint. He started out looking out for himself. But after everything they've been through together, can he abandon Theo now?
That's the heart of the conflict here. One of the reviews you shared pointed out how this isn't just about zombies. It's about how extreme situations reveal character. It tests what we value, how far we'll go for someone else.
So how does Jack respond to this test? Does he try to get Theo on a helicopter? Is there some desperate hope for a cure?
This is where I think the story gets really powerful. There's no miracle cure, no last-minute save. Jack makes the agonizing choice to lead Theo away from the helicopters, away from safety.
Wow. I mean, I get it right to protect the others, to prevent the infection from spreading, but knowing what they've gone through, that decision must have been brutal.
And it's made even more poignant by what happens to the diamond. It's the thing they risked everything for this symbol of hope and escape, ends up abandoned, forgotten in the dirt.
Yeah, that detail really stuck with me, too. You pointed it out in your notes, and it makes you think, what does it say about the nature of hope? Does it become meaningless in the face of loss like this?
I don't think it's meaningless, but it definitely transforms in the beginning. The diamond represented this very concrete goal, a way out, but in the end, it's Jack's choice, his sacrifice that holds more meaning. Hope in this story becomes about human connection, about making the tough calls even when there's no easy answer.
So the story ends with Jack and Theo walking away their fate, uncertain. The rescue team finds the diamond, but the true cost is left unspoken. It's a powerful image, the lingering question mark.
It's a reminder that survival isn't always clean-cut, that sometimes the hardest choices leave the deepest scars. And it makes you wonder what happens next, not just for them, but for the world grappling with this outbreak.
Blood Diamond. The Outbreak. Definitely a story that sticks with you. Big thanks to our listener for sending it in. And to everyone listening, keep those suggestions coming.
That's right. We love diving into these zombie tales with you. Don't forget to rate and follow the Drunken Zombies Podcast for more stories of brains mayhem and the choices we make when the world goes sideways.
Until next time, stay safe out there and watch out for those pesky zombies.